someone's listening to this and where does a normal consumer start to begin? Let's just think about basic kind of dietary information. Where are places that are uh, uh, agnostic, where they can give sensible advice? Where do you advise people to go to understand whether they should have certain oils in their food or not?
I can summarize this in one sentence. What did your grandmother tell you to eat?
It's yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Natural food, as close to the natural source as possible. Avoid anything which goes through a factory that is produced by one of the 10 corporations that almost completely control our food supply. The closer you get to nature, and it's like anything, I'm obviously my whole specialty is lifestyle medicine. Whether we're talking about stress, whether we're talking about sleep, the closer you get to nature, what your ancestors did, what we are built for, will stand you in a very good stead not to get sick. There's never any guarantees in health. So, what your grandmother told you to eat, natural food, she cooked herself. She made it from scratch. She went to the local store. She bought food that wasn't tainted with all the complete rubbish it is now. In the UK, it's much better than it is in the US. Here, ultra processed food consumption is 70% of all calorie intake. It is a dire situation. That's why we have children now on liver transplant lists because their livers are failing due to fatty liver disease. Nobody's doing anything about it. We're just looking at this disaster unfold. But the answer is that simple: get back to nature, eat naturally.
I think actually, for takeaways, I think the thing about oils is really interesting, because I think even people that are reasonably kind of healthy, um, sometimes there can be a bit of a misunderstanding around oils, and we've spoken about this before with a few people. But can you just elaborate a little bit more? So when we think about oils, we think about cooking in oils, frying in oils, coating our food, salads, things like that in oils. What should people be looking out for, and what are the kind of risks associated?
Yeah, so there's all sorts of oils that you can cook with, and there's a whole science behind this: saturated fats, monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats. But in a nutshell, no pun intended. Now, I'm not a fan of the term vegetable oil. I think that is a marketing ploy. Oils don't come from vegetables, they come from seeds. These are seed oils. In the UK, you call the most common one, I think, rapeseed oil. Over here in the US, it's called canola oil. So when you want to buy an oil, there are various things you have to consider. I'll try to summarize as succinctly as I can. The first thing you want to consider is it a processed oil? So what you want to look for is something which says cold pressed on it, which means that the seeds are crushed. There's no additional heat, there's no additional chemicals. They use hexane a lot for extraction of seed oils. These food companies want to get maximum extraction. So you want to specifically look for cold pressed if you're looking for oil. I am not a fan of the typical vegetable oils, whether it's canola oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil. I don't eat them myself because these are predominantly unsaturated fats. They are high in omega 6. Various types of fatty acids we need, like omega 3, omega 6. And the key concept to bear in mind here is that over the last 40 years, we've seen a flip in our omega 6 to omega 3 ratio. Omega 3 predominantly comes from food sources like fish, nuts, seeds, etc. Omega 6 is found in vegetable oils, and our consumption of vegetable oils has gone through the roof. I was reading a statistic in the UK that in a lifetime, someone will consume 1.5 bathtubs of vegetable oil, which is shocking. But remember, this was not around. It's coming back to that same principle. This was not around 100 years ago. We didn't consume vegetable oils. And we want to consume, if we want to cook with an oil or a fat, something that is as chemically stable as possible. The unsaturated vegetable oils like canola oil will tend to oxidize more easily than cooking with saturated fat, whether that's butter or ghee, which has been around for hundreds of years. My own personal favorite, I know there's debate about this, but I like extra virgin olive oil. I try not to heat it up too much, but I do cook with that regularly.